Okay, we're back and we're here for part two. I'm Dr. Pat Huff, and we are continuing our look into what is getting ready to take place next school year in the different schools around the state and what provisions are going to be placed upon teachers as well as administrators, and then what parents are going to have to get used to with their children in terms of new assessments that are coming down the pike. Now, we talked about last time about the Next Generation Assessment and Accountability Program that is getting ready to take place next school year. That's going to usher in the A through F rating scale, accountability scale for schools, school districts, communities. And we also talked about some of the provisions in there that pertain to the ESSA requirements, federal requirements that are required to be adhered to by every school district, every state in the country. And this was done back in December of 2015 of last year. Now, what we want to go into this time is what was the Texas Commission on Next Generation Assessment and Accountability, what were they reviewing to make their recommendations? And this was a bill that was passed in 2015 by the House and then later amended by the Senate. And it laid out what the path is going to be for the schools and school districts to use around the state. I'm going to show you a copy of the front page of that bill now that was drafted and chaired by Representative Jimmy Don Aycock. And then I'll show you the Senate bill, which was chaired by Senator Larry Taylor and the Senate Education Committee. Now, of note, I'm just going to point out a couple things on each one, maybe just one for time's sake. But there is a goal that is established in the House Bill 2804 that has a date attached to it. And I think it's important always to notice when provisions in the law have dates attached to them. We learned that dates were important when we were living under No Child Left Behind. And we saw how the date that was established of 2014 had significant importance for every school in the country, every school district in the country. Now, we're going to talk about that more in subsequent YouTubes that I'll present later. But there's a date here that is established by the commissioner through this law. Actually, it is established through the law, and the commissioner is going to implement it. Let me read this to you. It says, the commissioner shall periodically raise the state standards for college readiness, the achievement indicator described by subsection blah, 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 for accreditation as necessary to reach the goals of achieving by not later than 2019-2020 school year. And the number one goal is student performance in this state disaggregated by race, ethnicity, social economic status that ranks nationally in the top 10 states in terms of college readiness. And then the number two goal that it's putting into law, student performance with no significant achievement gaps by race, ethnicity, or social economic status. So by the year 2019-20, all schools are going to perform with no achievement gaps in between the race, ethnicity, social economic status, and the student performance will be in the top 10 nationally. So here we have a date, and we have goals attached to the date that are put into law, and I'll show you that now. Now I want to review with you the Senate version of this bill, and I'll show you what that looks like. And in here we have, again, and this is where the commission got it, the performance rating of A through F, once again. So the Next Generation Assessment and Accountability Commission has adopted the A through F rating system from this bill that was drafted originally by the House and amended by the Senate. And so every school district is going to be rated A through F starting next school year. Now, we need to speak out against this, people. This is horrible. And let me tell you why. Once again, I'm going to drill home the point that I've done so many times before. This is discriminating against our Title I schools and our Title I communities where the schools are located. These are the schools that, because of their percentages, the percentages of poverty that exist in the communities that have the kids in them that go to the schools, these situations are beyond the school to remedy. The social programs we've been working since 1965, Lyndon Johnson's War on Poverty, to try to eradicate the problems that exist in the communities that suffer from poverty. And it hasn't happened. So what makes the legislature think that it's going to happen now significantly? If we put a label, if we threaten with a label of A through F, what makes them think that miraculously this is going to take care of the problems? It's not. And so what you're going to have another situation, just like all the accountability systems that have come before it, that have pinned the label based upon the outcomes of the test. This is going to further demean and degrade and shame these communities. Now, I want to speak to the realtors that are in those areas. What do you think this is going to do to the property values when they have these labels attached to them? What's going to happen when all of a sudden a community that everyone knows it's in an impoverished area and they're struggling to make it, but you put a label of an F on them? I just hate to see what that's going to do to the property values in that area. So realtors, you should be speaking out against the situation. Now I want to make one last point very clear with everyone before we wrap up this video. Until we can solve the issues that are taking place in the impoverished communities that make up our Title I schools, we cannot afford to shut down one more school. We cannot afford to issue one more shaming label that further erodes the confidence of the community in that particular school, further hurts the morale that is taking place in the faculty, and makes students that attend those schools, makes them feel like they are attending a school that is not as important or is not as good as another school that might have an A or B label. And we know that's not true. Kids are learning in every school. Teachers are doing tremendous jobs in every single school. And so we have got to get rid of these shaming labels once and for all. We've got to get rid of this accountability system that takes into account the outcomes on a standardized test or whatever provision they put in play. Because that will continually give them control through the outcomes. And then they can do what they want with the system in place. Now, if you've enjoyed this video, please recommend it to others. You want to subscribe to the YouTube channel, you'll get notifications when I make another video. There'll be more to come. But please recommend, if you like the video, send it to people that you know. And if you know Senator Taylor, and if you know Representative Aycock, send it to them too. They need to hear. They need to hear what they're getting ready to vote on and what they're getting to pass. I'm Dr. Pat Huff, and we'll see you next time.